How's it, everybody? Another episode by DJ Slaydem. Some basic rules, tactics, philosophy, education, on a lot of stuff. I guess there's a lot of things about the ancient world that existed. I guess a lot of things happened, mate, back in business. This episode is about getting into business in entertainment or trying to expand your horizon. You've got to be serious about your job. Don't listen to TikTok's bullshit like your boss don't care about you, or your job is not good enough. Or if you want to learn English or anything in high school or any scenario in life, if you're afraid of the cemetery and you're an old person, the cemetery is inevitable. So I guess there's a billion reasons to stay alive. But if you're suicidal, that's okay. I call those episodes. So if it's important for you or not important, it could be important to 600 million colored people. Now you want to be a good looking person, or you want to be a real gangster, or maybe you want to have fresh breath, or a good looking person like myself. So there's no puku or stomach, which is a tummy. So you want to diss somebody. So maybe you want to be good looking, or you need a microphone to be a celebrity, a sports person, or anything. You've got to be yourself. It doesn't matter what you do. What matters is you follow rules and fundamentals. You've got to police yourself. So if you live in a place, the Skrilla or Lion King could be a scenario for 600 million people. So you've got different scenarios like a temple, a mosque. You've got your space, but you've got to have the basic technology. Basic technology, laptop, something, mate. In order to be available, you have to be available. So you've got to come up with your own ideas. But the person that's telling you this nonsense that life is not important, life is an adventure. So you make the most of the opportunity. So maybe it's obvious somebody's doing something when you're sleeping. Maybe he's hurt you, or it's your girlfriend, or maybe it's some sort of grudge or beef. Because if you've got an episode, so you've got to keep the guideline of an episode, because you've got an episode of Sopranos, episode of Top Boy. That's what I call those things, episodes. Maybe you're an old person and you're afraid of the cemetery. The cemetery is inevitable. So you've got to be like, do it. You know what I mean? The sooner you confront the problem or confront the monster. But there could be other things, These things exist. The Matrix is dangerous. It's got groceries, it's got all our children, it's got all our parents, it's got power, you know what I mean? There's no stomach, you know what I mean? So maybe you want to be a good looking person. Or maybe you want to think about the future. Or perhaps you want to change your life and you're 40 years old. It's all about hard work. So think of it like gratitude. Even though it's negative, it mustn't get out of control. So let's say you want to get back in music business. So what you've got to do is have your own equipment or some sort of space. So if you have your own space, no matter what industry, if it's a garage industry, rock music, you want to make nice rock music. So you've got to have your own focus. So you want to get back in business. So what you got to do is be available. It doesn't matter if it's the modern world or the ancient world is this far away. So in this world is the modern world. So you're allowed to say anything. As long as it don't get out of control, you manipulate the situation. Every neighborhood has a millionaire. But every neighborhood has a millionaire. So perhaps you're not the boss. So perhaps this person feels like you're going to hurt people. So he can't come up with his own ideas. You're allowed to copy someone. Any motivation for your friend or family is good. Even negative energy can become positive. It doesn't matter if you're a rich person. How many rich people are talking bullshit? How many people have a $2 philosophy? So if you're not the boss, there's a billion reasons for the universe. The universe is endless. So let's say you're afraid of society. So maybe you feel like somebody's dead or something. Of course, it's a reality. The next world is inevitable. So you've got to do something in this world. So you want to come back in business. So if you want to come back in business, you need the basic search engine capability, which obviously is a laptop, cell phone, tablet, or computer. So if you want to make good music, it doesn't matter what you do. How many people are talking shit that are making millions of dollars? Every neighborhood has a millionaire, from Joburg to Harare to Auckland City, Lagos, or anywhere in the world. So you want to be a good-looking person. You want to have a voice or something. So what you need to have is the basic gimmicks, props, to come back into business. Let's say you out of a rock business, good music. So what you need is personal space. Some sort of voice is your job, or if you are the brains, or maybe you're the muscle, because there's no stomach, so they can't diss you because you've done the hard work. So let's say you've got family and friends. It happens. You don't mix the boss with the brains, muscle, eyes. You've got to be teamwork. So if you want money, money is for a bigger purpose, because with money comes powerful enemies. So let's say you want to live in the wood or the skrilla. So what happens is, no matter what you do, even if it's negative, or if you put something on WhatsApp or some sort of thing, as long as you don't do it, because you can manipulate that attention, as long as it's positive energy, then of course you got all sorts of gimmicks, all sorts of things. If you want to be a good looking person, or perhaps you want a loud voice, or you want to talk something sensible, so it must be sensible. But in a business, it doesn't make sense, because in a business you do your job, you do what you're paid for. So let's say you want to be a billionaire. So if you want to be a billionaire in the future, you need to be available. So let's say you're in your mind. In your mind, if something exists, it can be 45%. It's still a pass. Or let's say something like a relationship. It's still your girlfriend. It's still your children. Children in your community, there's millions of teenagers, millions of people in their 20s, millions of people that feel ugly. But if you want to be a good looking person, maybe you want to dress nice, or you want to advertise for Tottenham. Whatever you advertise, you are paid for, but a different currency, whether it's like Bitcoin or like a credit. It's still a currency. You manipulate the situation. Maybe it's an Indian billionaire, or a problem in Nigeria, a problem in Africa. To solve the problem, you have to be available. So maybe it's a secret society, or something like a simple problem of confidence. What you have to do is build that energy, because going to sleep is a different reality. So if it's obvious that somebody has changed something, it could be a poltergeist, or maybe a tanifa, or maybe a traditional problem, or something like a personal issue. Jealousy, insecurities are all a factor of a business. Every neighborhood has a millionaire. So the person who is telling you this nonsense is the boss. So what you have to do is ask the person for money, because you can't make money from somebody else's business. But you need the basics in the matrix, because the matrix has electricity, as our groceries, as our children. So if you want to change your life, you've got to put effort in your business. So maybe you in India, you've got some small business for food, or you've got a jollof rice business, or a business, a job or something. It doesn't matter if it's a mountain of peanuts, it's still worth value. Anything that's on the internet is greater value, whether you're alive or dead. Because maybe down the line, it could become some sort of therapy. So there's different groups. That's life in 2025. You can't burn someone's mouth or try to make somebody ugly. If you're a good looking person, you're a good looking person. So if you advertise for Tottenham, or you want to live in the modern world, so you want to make music, rock music, so what you need is your personal space, the basic technology to search for jobs, search for accommodation, search for Uber, search for prostitutes, search for nightclubs, because no matter where you live, you're a role model. So if you want to be positive, you got to do overtime. The more overtime you do, you are paid. So let's say you're a drug dealer. So if you want to sell drugs, you sell drugs in America, England, or big country. So if you feel afraid, what you got to do is be like, okay, I'm surrounded. So you do what you can do. So you work with what you have. You don't work with what you don't have. You work with what you have. Even if it's just the simple things, or just health benefits of your blood circulating. If you want to make good music, then you need what's available. You work with what's available. You don't work with what you don't have. Let's say it's an army of rabbits. They're trying to fight with an army of crocodiles. 90% is psychological, 10% is life. Because life is an adventure, right? So if you want to make a legacy or be a cornerstone business, let's say you want to make an impact on the world. So any distraction is a good distraction. So your voice is your most important job. Let's say you feel afraid. So maybe somebody's trying to set you up. So it can be a good thing or a bad thing, because it's all gimmicks, props. So let's say you advertise Nike. Then Nike has to advertise for you, even though you don't get paid. It's bills, mortgages for the community. So if you're uncomfortable in Lion King could be for 600 million colored people. It's an African world. So if you want to make good white music, you've got to make impact. You've got to be dedicated. You've got to do overtime. You've got to think of the future. You've got to use your brain. Your brain is like a computer. Even if it doesn't exist, it doesn't mean that it's not existing. If you can't see it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean they don't care about you. It just means that the person is afraid. Afraid maybe you're going to hurt people. Or maybe if it's a TikTok. TikTok is a living organism. So what it is, if you send a message, it will reach people. It doesn't matter about your views. Views are nothing. There could be millions of people watching your views, but money is not important, because money makes powerful enemies. You see, if you have money, money is for the community. So you've got to do basic things. Focus on yourself is the greatest power in the universe. No matter if you're in prison or free on the street, you've got to police yourself, because everybody knows the story. But simple things is the greatest weapon. Let's say you got money. You want to live the life of luxury. You can't live the life of luxury without enemies. If you don't want enemies, then you've got to sort of do overtime. Any currency is currency. It's like a bank. So it's like credit. You can use it in this world or the next world. So the next world is inevitable. So you got to do something in this world to impact the future or the past. The past is important because it makes you who you are. I have my style. So if you're a good looking person with teeth, that means you're a talking person, a brain. A brain is not the boss. The brains are important for the government, or for maybe 600 million colored people. So you've got to learn the gimmicks. You've got to learn the tricks of distraction for confidence. Maybe you're afraid of the police. Don't be afraid of the police. Don't try to run away. It could only be remand. or it could be a small case, because the ancient world is this far from the modern world. But the modern world is not far from the ancient world. Because if you can't see with your eyes, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that you don't have money. Because the greatest opportunity is to relate. Relate with freedom. Perhaps somebody is a gangster, or they're not a good looking person, or because you're rude. Doesn't mean you're disrespectful. It mustn't get out of control. Let's say you feel a sense something is watching you. So that means something is watching you. Or if you feel uncomfortable, then something is uncomfortable. Or if you're stuck in a gang territory, if you can't get out of the place and you rather face the problem, then you must be the boss or enjoy yourself. Because if you're afraid, then it could be something dangerous. How many times is it dangerous? Anything is dangerous. But if you want the freedom of Uber, bus, the train, or quality of food, you've got to input quality in your life. If you want to be good looking, it's like a job. That means you're the boss. If you got a small business, it doesn't mean you're not successful. Success is governed by yourself. How many people fail that are famous? How many people fail that are rich? If you want to be like maybe change the world. So to change the world, you've got to be like a job. Because if you can't do something about it, there's no point. Because if you're not the brains, leave that to the brains. The brains is not the boss. If you're muscle, doesn't mean that you're not important. You're muscle, which is different from the brains. So you need the basics. Basics to search. Search for jobs, search for houses, search for nightclubs, search for prostitutes, search for marketplaces. You got to network. If you don't network, then you're not a people person. So even though you're not a people person, doesn't mean there's no teenagers. Doesn't mean that you don't have a wife. Your girlfriend is your girlfriend. Don't worry about being a small timer. Be a big timer. Now, if you want to associate with maybe Avengers, or you want to associate with a billionaire in India, it's still a good contract. But what you got to do is put effort in your business. So perhaps you got maybe a business in New Zealand or India, some place you're not thinking about. You got to put effort in that business, because your quality is like, you got to be good looking to be a good looking business. So perhaps cleanliness is next to godliness. Okay, it's negative. Okay, it's horrible. Okay, it's rude. But you must focus on yourself. The greatest gift is to learn about yourself. Because you always need someone in the next world. You always need someone in the shadow. Because the shadow is endless. Because you've got episodes of nonsense. How many people have episodes of bullshit that are making money? Money is not important as much as people or technology. Or perhaps you feel like you're not successful. Success is governed by yourself. Because if you want to be successful, you need to think about the community. So perhaps you're in a relationship. A relationship is a relationship. Your girlfriend is your girlfriend. Even if it's a digital or online. Online is the matrix, right? So perhaps you need to be in control. So the only way to be in control of the world is to be available. Because even Thanos is in a shack, right? But it's dangerous, right? So perhaps it's a secret society or something from the shadow, which could be anything, because everything's got a shadow. A mountain has a shadow, a building has a shadow, the shadow of Mugabe, shadow of World War II, the shadow of aliens. Obviously it exists. So the modern world is about changing the ancient world. It doesn't make sense, but it doesn't have to. Any nonsense on the internet is valuable. Any exposure is good exposure. Even to WhatsApp is still a billionaire. Or something like a search engine. You advertising maybe for Google. Google's got trillions of dollars. It's still a feat of ingenuity. If you learn your enemy, you're in advantage. If you learn your territory, you use your territory. You don't use what you don't have. Because what you don't have don't exist. Of course, there's the rules. Rules, you police yourself. You've got to be reliable, responsible. If you're not brains, then you're muscle. So you leave the job to the brains. Because if you've got no brains, then don't try to mess with brains, because both my parents are geniuses. It doesn't mean they're stupid. It just means you're like a Black Panther. Because maybe you're rude, or maybe you've hurt someone. But how many people hurt people? How many Africans kill someone? How many people sell themselves? It's how you sell yourself. You govern your happiness by your own circumference, or you govern your success by yourself. Because you maybe you're in a middle class reality. A distraction could make the difference in the battle. The final stages will tell the victory. Maybe you feel like perhaps you're not successful, or maybe it's a hallucination or some sort of mirage. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, because if you're asleep, you're inundated. So you're unconscious. What you got to do is come up with your own ideas. Don't think of something that's unreasonable, or something that doesn't exist. Something difficult like neuroscience or quantum physics is for the brains. The voice of the people is different. You can speak for billions of people. One day it's overpopulated. One day it's the weekend. So the weekend is the popular days. It doesn't mean they're in the city. They could be at home. So on the weekend is popular days. Wednesday is the middle of the week. This half of the world is ahead. It's the other side. But on Saturday is Friday, Saturday this time, which are secrets. Secrets you have to learn. So any distraction is a good distraction. Or maybe you want the basics, right? So you need the basics, a laptop, cell phone, all of these things to search for a house, search for a job, search for accommodation, search for restaurants or things to do. Even if it's raining, you've got Uber, bus everywhere. So if you want to be reliable, means you need to be consistent. So perhaps if it's important, it could be important for a message, a subliminal message. Or something like health benefits. Maybe you're afraid of another gang, or you're afraid of destiny. You can't change your destiny. Only God can do that. So if it's too difficult, tell the person. They'll understand. Money is for a business, for bills, mortgages. It's not important. Because with money comes powerful enemies. You can be on the benefit and live like a trillionaire. It's how you budget, how you govern yourself. Don't be afraid of failure. How many champions fail? If you want to be a consecutive world champion, you have to fail. You always need someone in your corner, especially if you've got 100,000 police, or maybe you've got millions of teenagers, or maybe lonely Africans, or maybe Polynesians that feel unsuccessful, or even a drug dealer in prison. Or some scenario where you feel something has happened. So if it's 45%, it's still a pass. Even if it's 15%, it's still capable of existing. So perhaps if you feel like somebody's going to rob you, they're going to rob you. If you feel like something is happening, it is happening. But it could be a distraction, or it could be a diversion, because it doesn't mean you're rude. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It mustn't get out of control. You manipulate your boundary. You manipulate the situation. If you don't manipulate, then you can't be a good-looking person, because there's no stomach. So perhaps 90% is the mental battle. So if you want to turn around the situation, you work with what you have. You work with what you have, not what you don't have. Because how many middle class people have millionaires? Everywhere has got millionaires, from Mbare to Braeside to Joburg to Nigeria to Cape Town to Auckland. You don't be afraid of the consequences, because the consequences are inevitable. It's the bitter end that will tell the victor. If you got an ugly girlfriend, you're allowed to cheat on her. If you don't get caught, then it doesn't happen. Because if you got a personal life, or you want to be happy, you're allowed to be suicidal. You're allowed to be dangerous, because it mustn't get out of control. It works. It works. If you're in a situation, maybe you live in Jamaica, and it's a violent place, you're allowed to be violent. It mustn't get out of control. If you've got a business, even maybe a curry business in India, you need to put effort in that business, will govern your success. If you put effort in any business, profit will come. But to make profit, money makes money. So maybe you want to be a good-looking person. You want a history. You want a impeccable reputation. You want to recover from a business you lost, maybe a rock band, or you want to come back in the Hollywood. So maybe like a bonus, you want to be in Avengers or Aquaman or Dune, or maybe you want to have notoriety or hierarchy. Hierarchy is not a ladder. It means the person on top of you and you're on the bottom. But it doesn't mean you're a peasant, because maybe it's a vampire. A vampire could exist. Maybe if you live in a good place, it's still a good place. So if you if you want a mortgage, you have to save your peanuts to make a mountain. To have a house is the most important thing of a celebrity. A castle is a castle. So perhaps the greatest points of success are the weekend, the middle of the week, Sunday. So perhaps you're an old person and you're afraid of the cemetery. The cemetery is inevitable, because death is the greatest freedom. Because with freedom you can do anything. So maybe it's a distraction, but it must be a good distraction. It mustn't be something horrible, because negative brings negative energy. Positive brings positive energy. So even if it's negative, it can backfire. So if it's not positive, then there'll be no positive outcome, because maybe it's technology. So your greatest weapon in the modern world is technology, because with technology you can search. Because if you a good looking person, then you've got an important job. If you're a drug dealer, then you sell drugs for a profit. Because with any business, you got profit, loss, or commerce, economics, or anything you learn in high school is important. Education is the weapon. You always learn. You learn about your enemy. You learn about your territory. Any territory is good. Even if you're in a territory in Africa, it's what you work with in the modern world, not what you don't have. That's the job. Because if you don't have any physical work, then there's nothing for yourself. But if you want to be a passenger, that's all right. If you want to be a bodyguard, that's all right. But if you want to be the brains can outsmart the universe. As simple as switching off the light, your destiny can change. If you go to sleep, maybe it could be children, because everyone's got children. You have to be a role model, open-minded. If you open the mind, you can unlock the universe, because it's not about success. It's not about the material world. It's about working. The more you work is your success. Because if you're not working and maybe you want to come back in business, then you've got to work like a team or something. Perhaps it's a distraction. It's not the volume, it's the power. So if you want the power of the Black Panther, you need to set your alarm for 4:30 in the morning. It's not about your body. That's muscle. So if you want muscle, you search on the internet and follow the gym instructor and spend money on yourself. Or maybe you want to be a big person, or you want technology, the matrix. So perhaps you're on YouTube. So on YouTube is different from TikTok. You can't try to fight with YouTube, fight with TikTok, fight with headhunters, fight with the rebels, fight with the shadow. Everything's got a shadow. The shadow of World War II, the shadow of Vietnam, shadow of Russia, shadow of John Key. The government works for everyone. So maybe the dentist is afraid. Because how many people do drugs? But yeah, that's another episode. Because you've got episodes of violence, you've got episodes of domestics. You're allowed to get angry. You live in a crazy place. So if it's a crazy time, you go crazy. If it's a normal time, you go normal. If you feel like you're bored, then you search for something. You don't copy someone, but you're allowed. But that's an unspoken thing. You make rules for yourself. You police yourself. No matter what happens, you don't waste resources because you've got to budget for emergency, budget for catastrophe, budget for vampires. But yeah, the next few minutes is the borderline of an episode because you've got episodes of The Wire, episodes of the Dune. It doesn't mean you're not rich. It doesn't mean you're unsuccessful. Your success is governed by yourself. You never let a outside influence in the computer because your brain is a computer that you can enter the mind of the Chinese prime minister. You can enter the mind of your enemy. You can estimate the universe because you've got to be realistic, right? So if it's a nice place to live, it's a nice place. If it smells shit, it's shit. But if you want to be good looking, smell nice, then of course a vampire will jump in your bed. Of course children will come to your house. Because sleeping is another world. So this is another world. If you feel depressed, you're allowed. If you feel you're a failure, you're allowed. You win to lose. You lose to win. You take responsibility. You help society. You police yourself. You help your neighbors. You help your friends. That's the right thing to do. You help your parents. You help your country. If something horrible happens, perhaps it could be a secret society. Any advantage on the battlefield is an advantage. There's no rules in the jungle. That's only for DJ Slaydem because I want to be a big business, somebody to change the world. So if you want to change the world, it's only if you can do something. If you can't do something, don't bother about it. Be happy with what you have because you don't work with what you don't have. Because then that's the biggest problem, right? You following the dream. Your dreams could be anyone's dreams, but to work as a team doesn't mean there's no nanotechnology. It doesn't mean they don't care about you. It doesn't mean you don't have family and friends. They're still your family and friends. It happens all around the world. People are underestimating the person that they mistake for a harmless person. Of course you're dangerous. Of course you feel bad. You're allowed. But it's what you do on yourself that will govern the future because the past is important. Well, you can see the good times count. Helping people count. It doesn't mean you're bad. What you've got to think is the outcome. The outcome is a mathematics. If you've got no brains, then you can learn English. You can learn a lot of stuff because you got your episodes of a Fight Club or episodes of Headhunters, episodes of anything. It's not a drop in names. You support your friends. Any support can make the difference because maybe he's got access to billions of dollars. But it doesn't mean he's a bad person. It doesn't mean it's not a nice place. It doesn't mean that you're useless. Maybe you feel like you want to learn something. You have to be available, not unavailable. How many people snuff coke? How many people smoke meth? It's still a fighting force. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It means it could exist. But it doesn't mean that it's not a vampire or a ghost. It doesn't mean you're mad. Talk to yourself. Will be the greatest asset you ever had. Talk to yourself. Think about it. Think about your enemy. Learn your enemy. Learn about your territory. Because maybe your territory's got 50 million years. Or maybe the person is open-minded, they understand. Because how many things in the world are changing? The world changes faster than the ancient world, but the ancient world is this far away, and the cemetery is not far away, right? So the cemetery is inevitable. So life is an adventure. It doesn't matter what you do. There's no rules in the jungle. You see what I mean? So even if it's a billionaire in India, it's still a billionaire. If it's a billionaire in New Zealand, there's a millionaire in every neighborhood. So if you want to be on the inner circle, it doesn't matter in this subconscious world. It doesn't matter, it's not successful. Views don't count. Money don't count. Even if you live in a shack, Thanos is in a shack, right? So maybe it's a plan, but it could be God himself. But if it's a subliminal message, you have to listen. But you don't give away all your secrets, just enough to govern your retirement or your freedom. But if you want to come back in business, then you've got to dedicate yourself. Maybe you want a comedy, music. You've got to do overtime. Because if you work your 9 to 5, you only make your basic wage. But if you work overtime and save your money, a side hustle will always be a profit. It doesn't matter what a side hustle is. If it's gambling, selling tinnies, or working, you must do overtime. Overtime on WhatsApp is a different currency. The impact is more important than the process, because the journey is nothing. The destination is worth the journey. Maybe you feel like you want to travel. You can't travel if you can't travel in the mind. Because from the mind to the stomach is a separate affair. The stomach of the world has to eat. So if it's a dangerous problem, confront the monster or exchange technology. Don't try to be a corrupt person, because we don't want corruption in headhunters. We don't want corruption in biker gangs. Or corruption only brings more corruption. Then you get deeper in the shadow. And from the shadow is endless. Of course there's spaceships. Of course there's aliens. Of course there's a subliminal message. But to read the message, you've got to be a normal person or do overtime. Perhaps you're afraid of the ultimate weapon. The ultimate weapon is the internet. Because on the internet, of course, you can reach Mars. If it's a movie, doesn't mean it exists. I think it don't exist. But don't try to be like Liam. Be yourself. But you're allowed to copy someone. You can do anything. It doesn't matter if it's a dream. It still exists. A picture paints 1,000 words. It doesn't mean you're rude. It doesn't mean you're not successful. Success is governed by yourself. Privacy is, nobody's got privacy. But to be successful, it's the effort you put in your business. If you learn to have a cleanliness or good quality, that will make you successful. If you got maybe a business in India and you want to be successful, clean up your business. Clean up your kitchen. Stay clean. Clean up your bedroom. Because maybe it's a scenario for neuroscience, which only God can do. But if God is a failure, then you've got to be the hero for yourself. Of course, it's important for your children. They're still your children. It's still your family. Because it's like if you're a gangster, gangsters have numbers. But if you're by yourself, it doesn't mean you're not a gangster. It doesn't mean you're not a business. It doesn't mean you're a racist. Because they're colorblind. It means you must make an impact. To make an impact will come in a different currency, whether it's money or notoriety or Bitcoin. Or maybe you want to be good looking, or you want to advertise for Tottenham. Doesn't mean they're not going to pay you. They'll pay you in this life or the next life. You can take anything to the next life, because the next life is inevitable, right? So this life is bullshit. It's temporary. So if you're bored, then you're allowed to do anything. It's what you do in the mind and what you do in this life. That's the secret. But secrets that you can only learn by yourself. You can't learn from a boss or the brain. The brain can outsmart the government. The brain can outsmart a black mamba. Of course it exists. If it doesn't exist, then you're inundated, you're asleep. Then whether you're with your girlfriend, you're awake or asleep, of course anyone can jump in your bed. Of course anything can happen. But can you stand up for your friends? Can you stand up for your parents? Can you be the leader? When times of emergency, you got good times, bad times, times you must budget for, emergency, or you must always have a backup plan, or some sort of way of trying to be strong is for muscle. The brains can outsmart even the best government. But even an army of rabbits can beat an army of crocodiles. It's about the psychological battle. Psychologically, you can beat them. Then 10%, you don't. Every enemy is a new friend. You use every opportunity. So any motivation will help. Don't be afraid of the repercussions. The repercussions someone else will deal with. That's my job. Your job is a passenger. It doesn't mean it's wrong. Doesn't mean you're a failure. It doesn't mean you made a mistake. What you've got to learn is to focus on yourself. So that's an episode. So that's what I call that. It's an episode. So you must do overtime. Any job is a good job. Even if you clean in toilets or you suck in dick. Even if you sell your ass. How many people sell their ass? Selling ass is the fashion, isn't it? Because how many women sell themselves? So you sell yourself. It's how you sell yourself. It's your overtime. Your success is by your quality of life. No matter where you are, even in South Africa, if you want a good restaurant, then you must put quality. That will govern your success, or maybe a billion reasons. But that's up to yourself. Even if you do nothing, it's still a life. Even if you're bored or you're not good looking, a good looking person means a vampire will come after you. If you want to be a good looking person, then it's all about the risk. If you enter the shadow, you'll only go deeper in the shadow. But in the light, then you are better off. But from the shadow, anything is possible. You can manipulate the headhunters. You can manipulate the sons of silence. You can manipulate the government, because the greatest weakness is in the mind, but you're allowed, because to be the winner, you must lose. To be a champion, you must win. To lose is to win. You can't always win. You can't be number one. Number one is taken. Number three is taken. Maybe you can be number five, but Satan is number three. Number one is God. As bad as he is, he's just a normal person. But to be a winner, you must lose. To come back in business, you must be open-minded. You must do something different, but not too weird. Something good. It is only for the champion. Because how many people sell bullshit and make money? How many bullshit artists are dead? Money makes powerful enemies. If you want freedom, the greatest freedom is in yourself. You must be happy with yourself. Don't worry about the opposition. Opposition is always going to be there. But if you want to be a business, you focus in yourself is the greatest weapon. Because the emperor travels the empire. The general lives with his soldiers. The leader has the voice. That's all different, right? The world is a body. So it doesn't mean you're negative. It doesn't mean you're bad. There's nothing like African freedom. There's nothing like a bad option, because if you want to turn around a battle, it's in the dying phases that make the difference. You've got to lose to win. Maybe it's a turnaround. Technology is your best friend. So if you maybe you want to win a negative, it's psychological, morale. You got to be military discipline. Don't let it get out of control. You must police yourself. Is the greatest weapon of society, which is more intricate, or thousands of reasons. Or you're allowed to be suicidal. You're allowed to fail. But it's how you come back and how you finish. That will decide the final. But of course, you've got many options in the universe. But this episode is trying to do overtime, trying to come back into business, or trying to turn your business into a good quality. It's about cleaning yourself up. giving gloves and stuff will determine whether your business selling chapatis or anything in India could be beautiful, but that quality must maintain. But yeah, that's another episode. You got your episodes of bullshit, got your episodes you force in the shadow, you got somebody who's not scared of any patches. And if you want to live in a territory, every territory is a good territory. There's millionaires everywhere. It's how you advertise yourself. Money is for powerful people. With power comes powerful enemies. If you're a gangster, gangs fight. If you're a celebrity, it's all about how you come back. You lose and you win. In order to win, you must lose. Because life is an adventure. Even if you're bored, you can find something to do. You don't throw yourself at a foreigner. Because if it's not important for you, doesn't mean it's not important to millions of teenagers. You're still a role model. Even if you're the leader of the homeless or leader of the biker gangs or maybe the leader of the police, you're still the leader. I'm a leader, not a follower. So you've got to, it's how you present yourself, how you answer. Take the repercussions or the consequences are better to face the monster than to shun the monster. It's better to talk to the monster than hide away. Maybe you can exchange. You could live for eternity. It's better in this world you make a difference. The next world is another episode. Another mathematical equation. If you want to understand the basics of society, you police yourself. That's the secret of Hollywood. Secrets that you earn if you're in a secret society is better for everybody. Maybe it could be a ghost or some poltergeist, which is a possibility, highly possible. But that's another episode. You keep it in the boundary of an hour and it'll be successful. The weekend doesn't mean they're in the city. A lot of people at home on the weekend. And the middle of the week is a different episode. That's what I call that, is an episode. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. How many Africans kill Africans? How many white people kill white people? How many people sell their ass and make money? It's how you sell your ass. That will make you the different. It's how you present yourself. Everyone's a prostitute. Everyone's a slave. But it's how you live in the matrix. That's going to determine whether your chapati business is better than Nando's or better than KFC. It's the quality that you put in your business, the quality of your chicken nibbles will determine whether the whole city flocks. But that's another episode, because you've got episodes of bullshit pornography, episodes of fucking someone talking shit. That's an episode, right? Episodes you forcing people. That's another episode. I could do that in the first place, but that's all right. At least we're out of the ancient world. So there has to be some sort of understanding. So it doesn't matter if you're a failure or you did. Because whether you dead or alive is still a show. Whether it's possums or Africans or even if you're selling your ass, it's how you sell your ass. That's going to make the difference. Because everyone sells their ass. It's just you got to break the barrier. Barriers are for a reason. But that's another episode. You got episodes of bullshit on the internet, episodes of Sons of Anarchy, episodes of shit nobody wants to watch. But yeah, it's how you sell your ass. That's going to make the difference. Because anyone can sell their bum. But can you sell it nicely? Can you clean yourself? Can you be a good looking person? But that's another episode. Everyone's a prostitute. It's how you sell yourself. You've got episodes of nonsense, but it's what you do with that nonsense that will decide the final outcome. Because everyone needs the system. The system is too important to lose. It's how you police yourself. That will decide the factor. Or if it's society will judge. Because there's nowhere to hide from something that only God can do. But that's another episode of DJ Slaydem.